Good morning, allies. It is Monday, February 24th, and here's your cup of Jones. Just drank as much coffee as there was. I drank all the coffee. Sometimes I just pour myself a cup, but I grabbed all of it today. No coffee left for Jones for anybody in this household unless we make another pot of coffee. But we got water in the cup here. Water is also good. Oh, helps you start the day. It's nice to get liquidated. What's up, everybody? I'm Brandon Jones. I'm sleepy because I was up late last night finishing my review of Dreams, which is done. You can go check it out on patreon.com/easyallies, or you can go to YouTube. And I am happy that that's done. There's no way I could be actually happy with producing a review like that because you have to rush out the edit so fast when you get a script done because Dreams is different a week later. It was different a year before, that review went up, and lots to talk about, but happy that that's done. So I was excited. Didn't get any tweets from people who were like, you didn't put the Disneyland level in? Like, there's just so much stuff. I didn't think about it until the edit was done. I'm like, I put a shot of Superman in, but I didn't put any Batman in. But it's just like, got to stop at some point. But we really need to talk about last Tuesday because we had a really great fun event, our Magic the Gathering fundraiser tournament. And I'm really happy with this for many, many, many reasons. First of all, we raised over $7,000. We were live after the video went up on YouTube the next day, and people kept donating, and so we broke that 7K mark, which if you go back and watch the actual stream and see what we got, I think we got past 6, but that's a tremendous amount of support. We had our lovely friend Luke Arnold on to comment with us, who lives in Australia. So it was wonderful getting his perspective because through Global Giving, we gave all of that money to the relief effort in Australia, which again is not only happening right now because of the fires that just happened, but of course, all of this stuff is going to kick back up, possibly worse than it was before because weather is doing some crazy stuff. And the fire seasons can get pretty brutal in Australia. So that was a success for so many reasons. First of all, because not everything went right. I should probably say that before anything. Every time we do a big event that we've never done before, it's nice because there's like a sense of like casualness around it. Like, we kind of in some ways emulated, in some ways mocked your typical like actual like card tournament with commentators and treating it like an actual esports event. But at the same time, that's not something you generally expect from us. It's not something that we do a lot. So we can do it kind of tongue-in-cheek, but be serious at the same time. We can kind of ride that line. And I think everyone is forgiving of that. I think everybody tunes into our group stream or any of our events on Tuesdays just expecting us to be together and having fun. If we're not having fun, that's probably like the biggest issue. If there are technical woes, as are common with live events, you just, try to fix them if you can and move on and learn week to week. And so us doing an event like that, we haven't done a fundraiser in a very long time, haven't specifically used that charity. We've never played Magic the Gathering. We have previously played the Pokemon card game tournament. I know I've said a lot of this on Cup of Jones. I just kind of want to reiterate. We played Pokemon, the card game previously in the garage, but we have yet to play outside of, board games that involved cards on the occasional board game show. We've yet to really play not only a tournament, but a competitive card game against each other. I was so inspired by Magic. I brought all of our Magic cards up to the mountains this weekend. We went up to Idlewild. If you live in Los Angeles and you've never been to Idlewild, look it up. Idylwild. Idlewild. What a fun name for a town. We went up and chilled. Super chill in Idlewild this weekend. I brought up every Magic the Gathering card I own and sorted it all into all the different, tokens and land and special land and all of the different artifacts and all the different elements. And it'd be kind of fun to like build decks from that. And Amanda and I played a couple matches. I won 2, she won 1. I'm just saying, that's just what happened. That was the score. There was one move where anyway. She took the damage, and I had a shock, which is 2 damage for 1 mana, because I played red like the whole time, and bam, shocked her for 2 damage, took her out. She could have blocked with one of her creatures, but that's the fun of Magic. We never really done stuff with commenting before, I think, in that way. Obviously, we did it jokingly with just a tiny microphone when we had our Pokemon card game tournament in the garage, but we had our new headphones, which you're going to see if you like the ways those looked. If those looked cozy and you're coming to EasyX at the end of March, you can enjoy those. That's how we will be doing audio. And it Blood Loves Shock look at Blood, man. Look how far he's come in just a short amount of time. Blood is calling out those specific card names. Pacifism is one that I was like, oh, pacifism, so brutal. Your card cannot attack or block. It just sits there like a dummy the whole time. But the esports, the commentary angle was really fun to do. Specifically how that worked. That's one of the things that I would definitely want to change, like where we were. I don't know if you could tell, we moved the couch and we were up against that wall in the control room. Having the control room be a separate room from the main studio stage. One thing that was really fascinating, I know I'm talking about this a lot at the top, but I'm proud of the work we did last Tuesday. One thing that was really fascinating was that the people, and this makes sense, the people on stage doing the tournament can't hear the commentators, and so if you are actually going to watch a Magic the Gathering tournament, there would be much more rehearsal, much more forethought, put into when we talk versus when they talk. You would probably have somebody. We had Damiani who was on the switcher, and he could control all of the microphones as well. But you would have someone just doing the audio, someone just doing titles, somebody just doing the camera switching, and not Damiani, juggling all of that at the same time. And so it was a kind of trick between Brad and myself and Luke and anybody else that sat in those chairs. When do we talk? Because they're going to want to talk during the draft, when they're playing cards, when they're talking about strategy. And it was definitely a much more casual Magic the Gathering tournament than you're likely to watch elsewhere. So we knew that there could possibly be some crosstalk. And I'm sure that there was. I'm sure there were times where we were like, everyone's talking. I can't hear what anybody's saying. But it was an interesting exercise. It was fun doing that just with Brad. Obviously, we had Luke and other people filling in. But it was just refreshing because not only we gave a lot to charity, and that always feels good, not just because we did a great thing, but because we the big we, the 9,000 plus we, the 234,000 on YouTube we, all of us got together and helped raise some money for a wonderful cause. And so that always feels so great doing charities. But whenever we do something where there is room to fail, and there is, people can kind of see in a sense that we're winging it. And so there are lessons that we can learn. And when we learn those lessons, I'm looking forward to doing that for EasyX. I'm looking forward to, this 4th anniversary shaping what a potential 5th anniversary could be like in terms of how we do events differently. So, and it was early enough in the year that this kind of stuff, we kind of get halfway through the year sometimes, we realize, we should really plan a bunch of events. We should do stuff if we time before E3, or maybe after the summer, if we're not running around to conventions, we can do stuff. So it's nice to strike out right at the beginning of the year in February. I think that's the earliest that we've done an event of that size. So for all those reasons, I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, keep the notes coming if you had any issues or you want us to do things differently. And I'm not trying to play it up and pat ourselves in the back, but there's just, I think it's mostly the newness of it. There's just a lot of stuff we hadn't done before that was very fun to do. And I'm done talking about that. Right at the top, we haven't gotten into scheduling yet. I was on Game Face, which is Sifted's live stream that they do every week. And Shane wanted me on, and I jumped on, and we talked about a lot of things. I always forget. I'm always like, okay, I got to answer a lot of, tough news questions whenever we're on a podcast with somebody else. But I forget, Shane and I only see each other maybe once or twice a year. And so, we just talk about ourselves a lot of the time. So if you're curious of that, if you don't get enough personal questions on Cup of Jones, you can check out Game Face, which I believe archived is on their main YouTube channel. And we'll get into schedule in a second, but Amanda is going to be on this week's episode of Fiasco Knots, which goes up this Friday, I believe. We'll check the schedule. And I do this every now and then, but I think I did this 5 or 6 times today. I answered a bunch of questions in the comments, played it fast and loose, didn't do the questions last night, didn't gather the questions, cut dreams, and I was tired, so I went to bed. So I got up a little early this morning so that I would have time to grab all the questions before we went live. And that's, when you got a kid, when you got other things happening in the morning, you got, are you really going to hit that alarm clock? Are you going to get up when you need to? Played a little bit of a risk, but it paid off because we are here. I'm on time, and we're ready to do another Cup of Jones. And for today's editorial, let's talk about Animal Crossing, man. I got to be honest, Animal Crossing's on my brain, and I talk about it on the latest episode of Friend Code, featuring Rogers Base. I should definitely mention that. And if you want to check that out, that'll be me talking all about the new Animal Crossing Direct. And we can kind of get into it. I do have a question where somebody asked what I thought of the new additions to the new one. And we can talk about the new one, but I just kind of want to talk about Animal Crossing, which, again, doesn't really fits more into Cup of Jones, more into, just me, just personally, just us hanging out, talking about Animal Crossing. But just why I think I'm really starting to realize, I think I'm taking it for granted for so many years. Why do I love Animal Crossing? Why do I love this series so much? And this might be helpful for some of you at home that are like, thank you, please tell me, because I don't get it. I'll be playing Doom Eternal, and as well you should. Let's look at the schedule. Cup of Jones, you're watching it. Resident Evil 3 and Neutopia 2. So we got some interesting streams that are not normally on Mondays. Resident Evil 3, of course, that's Mike and Mike. And then Damiani and Bloodworth are going to be playing Neutopia 2, which I have been in the mountains, and then I was in Dreamsland, and so I don't know. Sorry, Blood, I missed that. I don't know what's going on in Neutopia. I don't know that game. I don't know why they're playing it on Monday night, because the Stream Team game this week is Conker's Bad Fur Day, which they're playing. We are playing Tuesday at 11 a.m. I will not be there for that. Everybody sneaking ahead in the YouTube chat there. Yes, Silver Squad comes back this week. Kyle is scheduled to come back again. Kyle left for personal reasons, and personal reasons might take him right out of the state again. We will see. But he is committing at least to Thursday at 5. Let's just jump right ahead to Thursdays. Huber Syndrome, 3rd episode back. Feels good. Smash Ultimate, checking out those new characters on Tuesday night for the group stream. Patron Q&A is tomorrow, starting at 2 p.m. in the studio. I know you're probably thinking like, wait, didn't we do the one for this month? That was January. We haven't done the February Q&A. Somebody asked, might as well say it at the top, and I'll repeat myself later on. Daniel Bloodworth will be the next guest on the community showcase in March. I will get that date to all of you because that date is coming up very quickly. Oh, it's February. We only got 4 more days left. I should post that like right now. Let me make a note. Showcase in caps. We'll put that up. Showcase. It's the showcase. Got a handyman doing some fixes around the house this morning. So if you hear any banging, I played Neutopia 2 in my Blood Pact Wii Shop Roulette and got into it. It's a Zelda clone, so I want to show Damiani. Isn't that? Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And Damiani's going to end up hanging out at the studio to wait out traffic anyways. Love it. Leap year, Jones. 5 days. Oh, it's a leap year? How exciting. I wondered that. You know, it's like, I said that. I'm like, Jones, there's a little alarm that went off in my head. That's like, Jones, you haven't done the research. You don't know if it's a leap year yet. And like, it's not a leap year. Corey's is like 1 in 4. Not a leap year. Totally is a leap year. Look at that. Screaming Argonaut. Letting me know. Leap year, everybody. All those leap year birthdays. Get ready. You're going to see Twitter. All these people being like, Jim was born technically 5 years old. Ha ha ha. The Blood Pact Roundtable potentially kicking off another game. Oh no, talking about the last game, sorry. But I love Blood Pact seeping in. I love it. See, that's like the beauty of working in the games industry, of doing streams, stuff like that. Sometimes you're just like, I got it. That's was interesting, as I mentioned previously, maybe on Cup of Jones, when I was reviewing Dreams, capturing all these individual clips and some of those games. I was just like, I got to keep going. I think I mentioned that on Sifted. Yeah, I was like, I got to keep playing this game. I should probably move on to another game to get another clip of capture. But this is fun. So Silver Squad will be a short recap with myself and Kyle Bossman, and then we will be playing Silver Squad the movie, which I have to finish this week. I have to cut. The next thing I'm going to do is cut the Zombie Army 4 review from Michael Huber, and then when that is done, I'm going to get back to cutting Silver Squad the movie, where I kind of recapture a lot of the best moments. Probably be a little over 2 hours, somewhere between 2 hours and 2.5 hours long, where you can recap all 40 plus hours of Silver Squad that made up our Pokemon Silver playthrough. But we won't be playing any more of the game. Maybe if we do, we'll just be like running around leveling. But mostly just going to be talking about and reminiscing on the last several weeks, dating back into 2019. But of course, out the last 2 weeks because Kyle was out. Also, Trials of Mana and Weekly Hunts. It's that stacked. It's the, just some really good RPG talk happening on Thursday, twitch.tv/EasyAllies. The podcast this weekend, again, hopes, fingers crossed, that Kyle's going to be on that podcast. He is scheduled to be on that podcast, so let's all just wish some well wishes for Kyle, and hopefully we can make it happen. Again, Fiasco Knots is on Friday. That is an Amanda Troop episode. Amanda Troop and Jessica Lynn Verdi going off the rails. I love the nervousness of like Amanda coming home and like, I think like Milo was taking a nap or something. And she like comes in the side door and I'm like, hey, and she's like, hey, that was a weird episode. It's like, they're all weird. There's no non-weird episode of Fiasco Knots. So if you're nervous about anything that you did that was strange, that's welcome to the party, pal. All right. Business questions. Cheers. Chris Snow, when you were at GT, there was a preview for an episode of Timeline on Metal Gear. Here we go. It was never done. Wasn't it? Didn't we do that? I assume this is because of the sale and layoffs from GT from Viacom to Defy. Do you or any of the allies have any interest in ever doing it? No. I know that show has some costs associated with it, but you could do it in a one-time effort similar to Box Speed. That one-time effort would be too much of an effort. And if we did a timeline, there's so many reasons why we wouldn't do it. One, let me just rattle them off. For fun, we haven't talked about timeline in a while. We have answered this before, though. One, Damiani would work on it, and he doesn't want to. Two, Damiani would have to pull himself off. Pretty much reaction shots would end. Damiani wouldn't review anything for half a year, potentially to a full year. I'm not reaction shots. There'd be no friend code. Our group streams would suffer because he wouldn't be around for group streams. He would just leave everything, to get that done. And obviously we don't want to do that. We don't own the brand Timeline. We probably wouldn't get in trouble doing something called Timeline. And if we did that, people would just be like, hey, do, Dragon Quest, do, Warcraft, it would never stop. So, Timeline is in the same problematic sphere as retrospectives are, which is, gosh darn, they're so much fun to do. Obviously, they are tremendous for our community. People love them, but just they don't work. Damiani has a different job now than he had. That's the easy answer. He does not have the same job as he had at Game Trailers, which was in part doing timelines. Alexander Zarianov, can you please consider doing another Easy Allies Reacts to Easy Allies stream? It was my favorite aspect of your last year's anniversary celebration. I will put that on the list and give it a high recommendation to the rest of the crew. Easy question to answer. Thank you, Alexander. Brandon K. Gann, should there be a place you could direct people when you're being asked about content requests you have repeatedly said no about, such as Mr. Bossman having his own show, Easy returning to top 10s, or doing a catch-all best-of project that requires significant time and research much akin to retros and the like we just talked about? I understand not every person watches Cup, much less expecting the various communities across YouTube, Twitch, Patreon, etc. know the stance, but I have the perception, whether it is real or not, you are answering these questions about 2 or 3 times a month. I love hearing myself talk. I love answering questions. I have no problem answering small questions. I've answered this question several times too, Brandon K. Gann. It's ye old classic Cup of Jones FAQ, something that I've never organized or put together because it just doesn't tire me. It's just not something where I'm like, this question again. And keep in mind, you're like, these questions are super repetitive. There's some that are even way more repetitive than that I just answer, as I mentioned, in the actual comments of the episode. So if you're like, I didn't hear the answer to that question, but it was a pretty generic question. There's always a chance that I actually went into Patreon and said thanks. Or if it's, sometimes people just want to let me know stuff. They're just like, hey, check out this show. You don't have to answer this question. So I'll just be like, thanks. And Blood brings up an excellent point, which was the very next thing that I was going to get to, is the problem is that wouldn't stop anyone asking. But what I could do, Blood, is not bring it up on Cup of Jones and reply, which is with a link to the FAQ, and be like, there you go. Or people could beat me to it. And we could just throw that up in the forum. It would be the easiest thing in the world to do for me. No, not the easiest thing. But I've just never done it. But one of these days I will get around to doing that. And, a promise. But again, I talked about that, Patreon promo for a long time. And it's a thing that exists now. Got to work on the YouTube promo. But these things do happen. There is a list. It's just a big list. Ulf himself. I'm not saying that I think you should bring back the monthly intramural tournament because I understand, this is after a long discussion of tournaments because we talked about that last week, but I understand that there are other events you want to do and games you want to play, but what about a quarterly, biannually? Even Hall of Greats we push around a lot. So I get nervous saying around this time specifically we're going to do this thing. I'm nervous even saying like, hey, let's play Magic or let's do a card game tournament every February because this business, especially with Xbox Series X, who, just dropped a bunch of random specs today. Thanks, Microsoft. When is Microsoft going to have some big event that we're going to have to, when is the next Nintendo Direct going to happen, or State of Play or the PS5 announcement? And so it's the moment we try to lock those things in more, it can tend to frustrate our community because they're like, wait a minute, you promised that you would do one, or we've all been anticipating this because you do it 4 times a year, and we haven't done it lately. And it's like, well, there's just a bunch of movies came out that we wanted to do spoiler modes of, or just other stuff came up that we wanted to focus on. So we want to be fluid in that way, and so we don't want to pencil that stuff in. But I understand after talking about tournaments and after that Magic the Gathering tournament, I'm hungry to do another tournament. But we got Hologrades coming up. It'll be a little bit. Ali Salemi, I have to say this. You know I do, so here it goes. You haven't played Yakuza before. I have. What is this I haven't played? Everybody forgets. It's the same thing with Kingdom Hearts. It's like, well, Jones never played Kingdom Hearts. I played Chain of Memories and 2. I reviewed 2. And everybody's like, never played Yakuza before. I streamed an hour, 2 hours, maybe 2+ hours of Yakuza 0 with Ben, and have played a fair amount of Yakuza Kiwami. I got it as a PS Plus free game, and I've been like just blazing through Yakuza Kiwami. Never played Yakuza before. Kyle hasn't played Yakuza before. Yakuza 0 stream with you and Kyle could be pretty fun, or Yakuza Like a Dragon when it comes out later this year in English. Like a Dragon looks like fun. Judgment looks like fun. Yakuza is I'll be honest. There are some things, like imagine like a bubble, right? Like you're in your bubble, and then everything inside the bubble with you is a game that is gonna get played. Whether it gets played a little bit, what I played this weekend up in the cabin was Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age, which I've had for the Switch forever, and I've just never started that campaign. And I was just like, yeah, Final Fantasy XII. It's been way too long. I never beat Final Fantasy XII, so I'm just like, yeah, sure. Especially with how fast characters move and how like grindable that game is. Just like, yeah, this will be a fun Switch game that I can just jump on. All my turn-based role-playing games. I got like Pokemon Rocket on that system. Oh, if Temtem comes to the Switch one day, that would be joyful. God, Breath of Fire 1, Breath of Fire 2, Dragon Quest 1, Dragon Quest 2, and now Final Fantasy 12. Just anytime I need that turn-based love. Yakuza's not in that bubble of games that I really see myself getting to. It's just outside of it, and it has nothing to do, there's nothing wrong with Yakuza. But that is definitely something, Sophie chasing the cat. I think Amanda sneezed, scaring Norbert, who then ran out of the office, and then Sophie chased after Norbert, because that's what you do. When Norbert goes running, you take the opportunity and you dominate. James Vest. I know, but never say never. Certainly always looking for more stuff to play, and I do have offers, like a free agent. I have offers to play Yakuza in different contexts. Stream Team, next time I'm on Stream Team. We had fun with Metroid Prime. Let's get Yakuza in there. James Vest, I know you don't want to do a Best of the Decade awards with good reason, as it would take a ton of work. I was wondering if perhaps you might do a fancy 15 of the decade, like most underrated games of the decade, where each ally brings a game they think is underrated. You play 15 minutes of the game, and then the allies come to an agreement if it's underrated or not. Fun. I'll throw it at the crew. Is the decade stuff still hot? Can we still talk about the decade? Jason Presents. Just had a random thought about goatees in February. I know I'm all doing way down to talk about goatees all year long. Do you think when deliberating games it would be possible to display graphics showing which ally played the game in question, such as completed, not completed, or hours invested, so we all get a better understanding of where everyone is coming from? It may be more work to preload for Damiani, but just a random thought. It'd be more work for everybody. It wouldn't be that much more work while actually going, because it would just be like an overlay that he would just click, when we would move on to a new category. But we changed talking about games so fast. And so what I did with the titles is I kind of grouped them. It's like, now we're talking about everyone's in, no. And then the chat, I thought Blood would probably come up and be like, yeah, we're not doing that. But we bounce around too much to talk about any one specific game. It would take forever for us to let Damiani know, to actually do the math for ourselves leading up to that day. That's not work that he could do 2 days earlier, because we would play games in those 2 days. If we had given our times 2 days earlier, Bossman's time on Death Stranding would be wrong, because he beat Death Stranding the day before we deliberated. So but it is a random thought. It is a random idea. There's my random answer. Carl Williams, now that you have provided commentary for the EZA MTG tournament, is there any esports event that you wouldn't mind trying commentary for if ever given the opportunity? Definitely not fighting. Anything but fighting. Strategy is also rough. I think League of Legends or, like a Dota or something like that would be tough for me to do, because the big picture is hard to look at. And really comprehend exactly what's going on, see strategies coming. But cards are fun, because they're definitely there's a certain patience, a certain speed that I think my type of personality and my cadence tends to do well over. Again, that was something that I feel bad, because I played a lot of Magic this weekend, and I love Magic, and I was like, it'd be fun. Again, the Fire Element was not very represented, among the cards in that live stream. So I would, if we do a Magic the Gathering tournament down the road, I would definitely want to be involved. But I was just so excited about commentating. So yeah, it would definitely have to be something card related, something where it's just like, okay, I'm looking at everything right now. I'm literally looking at all the information that I possibly need. It's not that like somebody, was doing something in League and then like went back to their home base and it's like, well, I don't know what's going on the board now. And so it's tough for me to make predictions. But it would be terrifying no matter what. If I was actually involved in like an actual esports event, I would be sweating bullets. Alex AI, is there any chance for a spoiler mode on the Dragon Quest V Netflix movie? I would love to know the Allies' opinions. I personally loved it, despite the controversy. I don't know what the controversy is. Do I want to know? I don't think so. Damiani has expressed interest. This is a good time to just say generally, I'm sorry, personally, for us not doing a lot of spoiler modes. We haven't done that really in 2020 that much, if at all. There were a lot of things that we dodged. I've mentioned this previously, The Mandalorian, The Witcher Netflix. I haven't done a Trailer Jones for February. There are some stuff we are definitely behind on. But I know that the Castlevania Netflix show is something that I think we're pretty much locked and loaded on doing. And fun thing about Mandalorian, Brad dropped the other day. Brad was just like walking out of the streaming room and he was like, dude, Mandalorian spoiler mode, let's just do it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm down whenever, man. I can do it right now. Break out my iPhone. Let's do it right now. But we talked about potentially doing Mandalorian maybe before the next season, kind of as a lead up. Where are we now? Or, what are we expecting out of the new season? And talk about stuff. Daniel Garza Andrade. I was watching Maximilian Dude stream and the number of people watching him was over 10,000. Oh, yeah. It was not an event, reaction, or something special. It was just him playing Street Fighter V. While I'm not comparing the two channels, go for it. Let's compare them. What would you or the Allies say that EZA needs to grow to those viewing numbers? I know that the current people that watch the streams are a loyal fan base, but it came to my attention. It would have to be an event. And that's the thing is we have a good time at twitch.tv/EasyAllies. We have a good time when we get together. If there's 2 or 3 of us or the entire crew, we get together and we legitimately have fun playing games. We mold our entire experience around that. We're not going to stream a game if it's not something that we don't think we're going to enjoy doing because we think people enjoy watching us, enjoying each other's company, and enjoying video games. Max is a extremely good fighting game player. You watch Max play any fighting game, and you are watching gameplay on a level that none of us can match. And that's definitely a huge difference. I'd say there's 2 main differences. Yeah, 2. I'll lump this, potentially 3. I'll lump 2 and 3 together. 1, the guy is just an absolute god at fighting games. But number 2, he's a solo streamer and a dedicated solo streamer, meaning he's a solo he has people on, obviously, for reactions and stuff like that. But like his channel is him. And so when you tune into Max, you absolutely know what you're getting. And because we run a Patreon, because there's so many of us involved to the group, and because we have to speak to ourselves and just kind of, just the general, the vibe of Easy Allies as a whole is the group. And so we're not going to be as competitive it's not the kind of like destination viewing that it's like, well, if you are this type of video game fan, if you are this type of fan of this type of content on Twitch, if Easy Allies goes live, run, don't walk. Just literally go over there and you will be satisfied every single time. But if you jump over to Easy Allies, you might get Hall of Greats, which you don't necessarily understand. You might get reactions. You might get an Ian Synth stream. You might get Mike and Mike. You might get Kyle being weird on Friday nights. Like, you never really know what you're going to get. And so I think that obviously puts a much more emphasis on us communicating, which we always don't do the best job of in terms of like what we are planning to stream when we go live, what you can expect out of those streams. But I think that's kind of this is one of the things that I always say to people whenever I get emailed or bump into people at conventions or something, and they're like, I'm just starting out. What can I do? What's a good lesson to achieve success? And it's like, stick to whatever you're doing like glue. Like, the more you change and the more you kind of wobble back and forth, it's kind of like timelines. Like, we wouldn't want to do timeline unless it was like a major initiative at the company. It's like, we're going to be doing this once or twice a year now forever. We've definitely learned that lesson or evolved in that way since Easy Allies started. And so you have somebody like Maximilian Dude that is so focused on his brand, so focused on a particular type of game. Even if he's going to be doing reactions to something, the reactions that he's going to do are going to have a very specific type of flavor, or are going to be reacting to a specific genre or a specific type of announcement or company that you can expect. If news pops up, you're definitely going to migrate to him when you want responses to like what's going on with Mortal Kombat, what's going on with Capcom, and so what's going on with Smash. And so I think it's that attention to a very specific detail that not only differentiates us from Max, but just any type of solo streamer. And I think one of the other things, too, is that Max can I think there was a quickness that we can't compete with when it comes to how easily he can stream. He streams from home. And it's always just him. He can literally just turn a camera. And it's not only that that he's live, but it's his whole channel's rocking now, because you got Max. You have Max on a Max stream. That's what you tune in for. Whereas, obviously, I think we are at our best when we do something like the Magic the Gathering tournament. We do something where we all get together, and that, requires a lot of driving, that requires scheduling, that requires a lead up, even when we just have reactions like we had Animal Crossing last week. Took us, a little bit of time to figure out, like, okay, when are we going to do that? Should I do a reaction by myself in the morning? And if it's just me being like, hey, what's up? This is Easy Allies. It's not. I'm Brandon. I'm representing Easy Allies. You don't necessarily get like that thing that I know I can tune in and see absolutely every single time. So when you have those solo streamers, they can just like, hey, I want to stream right now. Boom. And again, it's not just that they're live and then you can interact with that person. It's like the whole channel is represented. And I've totally woken up Milo talking about all of that. But shout out to Max. Max rules. Max rules. That's the other thing too.
Are you talking about Max?
I'm talking about Max. No, I'm talking about Maximilian, dude.
Oh, he didn't wake my up. I woke up naturally from it.
He did? How beautiful.
A perfect hour and 20 minutes.
That's what our child does. He wakes up.
Yeah.
Just wakes
what
up.
A day.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of, gotta go.
Later. Harry Tucson. Harry Tucson? Harry Tucson. Perhaps a little bit of a silly question today. Love them. Love the silly questions today, but whilst on my evening walks, I often listen to the Easy A podcast and wonder, in what order do you record the halftime? To clarify, I'm asking whether you record the podcast in its entirety, skipping over ad reads and editing them in later. If so, when do you record them? Or if you read the ads live whilst recording with the panelists? Yeah, we do it all in one shot. We do ads differently now, but how we do them, and if you listen to the Easy A podcast, that makes me happy that you actually haven't picked up on this, but we just record it all in one shot, and then at halftime, when I cut the YouTube version, which is the same as the Patreon version this last week because we didn't have ads, which is just kind of the back and forth relationship we have with Roost right now of like finding the right ads for the podcast and getting the right people. Every now and then we might not have ads. And then everybody wins, except the people who like the theme of podcast halftime, or me just saying, or Kyle just saying podcast halftime. But and then in the edit, I just take that out. So if I took that out and you didn't notice, then that makes me happy as an editor that you didn't notice. But yeah, we record it all at once, and then I just yank podcast halftime out of there, and then the version that I yanked it out of is the version that goes up on YouTube for everybody after the fact. Henry Ramirez, thank you for being on Game Face this week. You're welcome. It was fun. I only wish it was mentioned earlier so I could have watched it live. Yeah, it's the same thing with Dreams. It's always that question of when can I promote that stuff? It took us a while because he usually records those on Tuesdays, but that's when we had our Magic the Gathering tournament. And so I'm like, well, I would love to be on Game Face, but I can't be on a Tuesday. And then he let me know, like, I think Monday. And I was just wrapped up in getting MTG stuff ready. Ian is actually talking about multiple sponsors in Slack right now. Nice. Lining up for this week. Hungry for sponsors. Any chance Shane will visit the studio? I'll put him on the list. We got a big list of people coming by the studio. Some very fun Mysterious Monsters special guests coming up. Snowcone Guy, an area in which you can improve in my eyes is the audio balance, or in your ears, Snowcone Guy, between game footage and your microphones during live streams. My suggestion is that you have a kind of monitor at your streaming desk that lets you watch the stream yourself. It could be as simple as a tablet with some noise-canceling headphones attached that is always watching your own stream. Then, every time you start playing a game or switch to another game, the person that is sitting on the desk, I have this cadence because I've answered this question before, that is momentarily going over to the desk to have a quick listen, and the balance could be achieved pretty much immediately and without any guessing games whether you hit or missed the spot. True, it'd be difficult. We'd have to do that in another room because it'd be difficult to listen to the room, listen to us talking on top of us talking, on top of the game being played, on top of the game being blasted through the speakers that Damiani is listening to, basically, with Damiani being at that desk. A monitor is something that has come up a lot. It'd be tricky to do it on the same computer. So again, you're like, you should just have that on your phone. I think one of the reasons why, even if we have a monitor, even if we have that stuff being monitored after the fact, it's always good to listen to chat, because chat not only is watching that stuff being streamed in another state, in another country, which we cannot simulate because we are not in another state, we are not in another country. And so it is always nice to check in with people. But yeah, that is something, keep in mind for the big stuff. We run those tests beforehand and we're like, yeah, that sounds good to us. And then we go live and all of chat's like, that doesn't sound good. And we're like, okay. And so there is always that element of listening to people after the fact. But you're not wrong, Snowcone Guy. That is something that we could be doing. It's just difficult to do in the room because you're listening to everything all at once. It's like a weird surround sound within surround sound. Steve S., will Easy A be attending Star Wars Celebration Anaheim in August, officially or unofficially? It would totally be officially if we went. Meet up perhaps. I got to look at that. Is it August? Oof. I got stuff to do in August. There's a lot of stuff going on. But it always sneaks up on me, so I'll make sure to put it on my calendar. M-Bun, since nobody at EZA really wants to handle them, just like merch and sponsors, isn't it time to come up with a better solution for timely, professional Twitch emotes to make the channel look better and encourage more subs? Lots of the current ones are repetitive, outdated, and no offense, but subpar in some cases, such as ones that show poorly in dark mode. Never any offense at criticizing the visual style of our Twitch emotes. It's not something that really, knocks me down whenever the critical hammer comes swinging at it. There's a wealth of artists dedicated to making great-looking Twitch emotes, and you can reach out to the community if ideas are lacking on y'all's end. Not saying anything needs to happen immediately, since I know y'all are going through your funds freeze waiting for Roost sponsor payouts, but the time span of regular release for quality emotes is really stagnated, so just a plan in place for more regular rollout a couple a year would be much appreciated. I don't think Kyle wants the stress of doing them himself anymore, and as soulful as his emotes are, they still pale in comparison to artists who know how to make them pop on the platform. Let's make them pop. I have never done anything with emotes ever. I've never made an emote. I've never thought of an emote. I might have joked about an emote that we could do, but that emote that I joked about never actually became a reality. I, Brandon Jones, admit right now that I have not focused on emotes at all in 4 years of working at Easy Allies. But that is something that is 3 questions in a row, 3 comments in a row that I'm about to read. That's number 1 from M-Bun about Twitch emotes. So yeah, we could definitely do more of them, but I'll talk about specifically just kind of like the workload involved. Rappy, can we get some more Twitch emotes? As some have mentioned, some of the emotes have lost relevancy, are rarely used, or just not that appealing to use. I hope for the ideal world for Easy A Buckle does not have to be used, and it is often just replaced by the more easily typable F. Even Kyle has pointed out with such a functional letter of the keyboard. Even Kyle has pointed out some are just redundant, done with cards, done without. I know someone has already brought this up on Cup of Jones about commissioning them, and I'm all for artists being paid, but we all know when money enters the picture, things fail or take forever to be put in motion. When money is not in the picture, things fail or take forever to be put in motion. I don't know why money makes things fail. People make things fail. Not to mention the time spent on looking for an artist, describing ideas for emotes, and reviewing them if their work is adequate. You're onto something, Rappy. We will talk about that. So I propose, why not take suggestions from the community, but submissions as well? People hold polls or just have one or a few allies, or just have one or a few of the allies say what they like best. Let's let the community be involved with something severely overlooked on the Twitch channel, takes less effort, and funds from Easy Allies and Twitch subs get, hopefully, a variety of better emotes. Sounds like a win, win, win. I'd like for the Easy A Twitch channels to have one of those emotes where even the allies have gone, hey, where did you get that emote? Lightning is probably the only one doing that for me. And perhaps, oh, that's a really, really good point, actually. And perhaps you feel icky about using emotes that someone made for you, locked behind the paywall of a Twitch sub without compensating them. But while not quite the same, games do a similar thing all the time, and I think many would be fine with that. Games such as Monster Hunter or PSO2 have held multiple design contests where the winner get nothing besides having their design be featured in-game. You guys literally have a Patreon tiers where people pay you to submit things. Again, I'm not saying artists shouldn't be paid, but I think someone would happily have their emotes used on the channel. I don't think this has to be made into some big deal or contest. Perhaps a Patreon post and a couple mentions of it on a stream or podcast would help with getting submissions. I would very much like for some new ones for the EasyX anniversary stream at least. Thank you, Rappy. This is a long comment, but I thought all that stuff was very relevant. Red Sky just adds to all of this. I just wanted to echo sentiments about getting some new Twitch emotes, whether they be done through a professional artist or sourced from the community. I feel like this would do a lot to increase interaction and engagement within the community. Having some standard emote archetypes or universal emotes that could be used more easily in other channels could raise awareness for EZA or increase subs that primarily want access to the emotes. I love many of the current ones, but I wouldn't mind seeing some of them rotate in and out to freshen things up. You are all correct. What Rappy touched upon that might not seem like it's always applicable, but is 100% always applicable in every single case. No matter how, even if we don't pay anybody, even if it's literally just the community throwing Twitch emotes at us, and we just get to pick them and add them to our Twitch channel, it's still something that... and I'm sorry, everyone's like, here it comes. Here's the excuse. No, we should have more Twitch emotes, period. It would benefit our channel. Those are completely correct statements. But it still requires somebody to work on it. There's still one of the 9 of us that would have to manage that on a regular basis. They would have to, take in all of the Twitch emotes. They would have to decide which ones are the best. And it would be, I imagine, confusing to our audience, confusing to the allies, and maybe frustrating to watch on a regular basis to have these emotes cycle through or emotes pop up and have that stuff change out and then be streaming and have us have no idea that had happened. So you see like Ben or you see Hubert or myself or Kyle, like that it's like, whoa, what is that? Like, I don't recognize that. And basically what happened was the person that was working on it didn't have time to check in with everybody. Some people are potentially dealing, taking personal time or are, actually actively on a show or producing something throughout a day or at a preview event or right in the middle of writing a review script or editing something. And so it's like, well, we really want to get this Twitch emote up, so I won't, feel the need to get approval from those allies. And so I'm just going to go throwing that up. And then it seems like we don't know what's going on within our own channel. And so that is something that we basically need to find that person. That person needs to be motivated, to do that. That needs to be something that person's like, yes, I definitely want to do it. And that just takes work. That just takes time to establish that chain of communication and that line of input, with people submitting stuff from our community. And long story short, no one's volunteered. And it's never really come up. We had our big 2020 meeting, and we've had, since then a meeting to plan for February as well. And didn't really come up. I didn't see a lot of people talking about that. It's interesting. We have 3 people all of a sudden bringing it up on Cup of Jones. So it's like, cool. Yeah, no, it's on the list. I will, certainly at the meeting at the end of the month, I'll be like, Twitch emotes, where are we at? And I think, people looking at that lightning emote, asking what channel that comes from, and having stuff for our 4th anniversary, I think are the 2 really spicy, yummy takeaways from that comment. So thank you to everybody talking about emotes, and I will add them to the list. Asbo Zapruder, yeah, totally. I'll get right on that. But while I've got you here, I want to ask you if Easy Allies were people on roller skates racing around a track through an audience pretending to be toy trains. That'd be kind of weird, wouldn't it? It would. That would be weird. I was 40 years old, which means last year, when I realized that Starlight Express from Andrew Lloyd Webber, yes, that Andrew Lloyd Webber of Phantom of the Opera and Cats, wrote a musical about people on roller skates riding around. And I just found out that they're pretending to be toy trains. I didn't know this.
They're not pretending, they are trains.
They are toy trains. Well, they're toy trains pretending to be people. I thought
anthropomorphic.
Starlight Express.
Answer me, yes.
I thought it was just a weird dystopian future of roller skates.
That they were trains. I did it.
Yeah, I had no idea. It's like what? They're actual trains.
Express.
I saw that in London, and I was in the circle. I was in the whoa, in the middle there.
What was going on?
And there's people, and every time I think about Starlight Express, I think about Dana, who told the story of one time she saw Starlight Express, and one of the actors' microphones stopped working, and so they were doing a race, and they did a loop around, and then when they passed in front of the stage, a stagehand skated behind them, and was fixed their mic pack while they were rolling through the stage, and then when they passed around the other time, just rolled right off stage. They were like, all right, mic's fixed, moving on.
Crazy.
Theater is insane.
I gotta go. I can't be in here.
But it would be weird. Tegan Combati. Audiences everywhere agree. Everywhere agree. I don't know about that, but a lot of people like it. The Sonic the Hedgehog movie was a lot of fun, worthy of a sequel, and has recently been released to big success for a game-adapted film this past weekend. This is a big deal for all of us. It is. We should all celebrate this. So I am left wondering what the Allies thought. Any chance of a film reaction discussion or spoiler mode happening within the Allies? Yeah. You know who loved the Sonic the Hedgehog movie? Milo. You guys have to have heard that. Yeah, Bossman and Damiani were going to do a spoiler mode. Bossman had to head out of town. Just no one else was signed up to do the spoiler mode. People have opinions. Apologies that I didn't ask for those opinions on the Easy Allies podcast. I of the time I've been around the studio, I haven't really heard a lot of like cross chatter about the film itself, and I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it in Slack. Easy Allies might have just straight up missed the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. We might, you know, like, admittedly, that is definitely one thing that, you know, it's like one of those like, you know, video game comets that just blasts through the sky, and you just want to like get a lasso and just like wee and just, you know, follow that traffic. We could have done that. We did not. We failed all of you. It went too fast. Sorry, stupid joke. But yeah, no, totally. Sorry. There's the ball. We dropped it on the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. But of course, I blame Kyle. I love just the screaming. It's like, is he upset? Is he upset? Is there something? No. He's just like, I'm a baby. Michael Federico, I rarely tune into you guys live and tend to watch the archive streams on YouTube. Thank you for checking us out after the fact, so I can get through it from beginning to end at my leisure. I occasionally want to comment on how much I enjoy certain videos, but I don't know the best place to do that. Twitter is my main social media outlet, but you guys don't seem super active on it. Fair. YouTube comments are full of trolls in general, and I'm worried you guys don't pay much attention because of that. We definitely pay attention to YouTube comments, which leaves Patreon, which doesn't seem very active in the comments. Currently, I want to gush about how much fun that Magic the Gathering stream was. So where would you and the other allies prefer I do that so you can all hear my feedback? If you want to jump in, spend some werehogs on highlighting some messages or sending us messages via subs on Twitch, definitely appreciate that. If you are not active on Twitch, we totally 100% read those YouTube comments. We'll definitely go through all of that stuff, and I know people can be trollish, and you're definitely exposing yourself to people being not nice when they leave comments on YouTube. But if your concern is that we don't see that or that your comments would get brushed away, we definitely check up on that stuff, and some of the more interesting comments or comments that are more directed at specific people. Yeah, so there you go. And again, you can post something anytime here on Cup of Jones every week, and I will pass that along if it's toward someone specific. I will send that to them in Slack. Happy gaming. Over the last month or so, Adobe announced that they would be ending support of Flash at the end of 2020. While this isn't a huge deal for the most part, it reminded me that a lot of my time when I was younger was spent playing and watching animations created using Flash on a myriad of different websites. Hell yes, I did this too. Kotaku's Zach Zwiesen published an article after the announcement that talked about how groups online had developed a program called Flashpoint, a program that was used to help back up and archive over 36,000 games created in Flash. It made me happy that these can be historically preserved, as a lot of artists and developers got their start using the software and the early internet environment to grow their resume. While this is a far cry, I think it would be a really cool stream to have the allies check out different games on the program. Chat could vote or suggest different choices that they were fond of, or you could just open up random choices you find in a sort of roulette. It's like Dreams. These are all very small games that would be easy to pick up and play, jump around with low stakes. I understand this is definitely not the sort of thing that the allies typically play on stream, but I definitely want to suggest it given how large an impact this dying media made on me, and how the different ecosystem allowed for a creative ground floor for a lot of wannabe developers to get their feet wet for free. Shout out to Homestar Runner. Yeah, Homestar Runner was like the king of this for me. There was a lot of stuff that I remember, a lot of like Flash animations that, okay, this is the Earth, okay? It's a pretty sweet Earth. Fires the missiles, but I want to take a nap. Okay, take a nap and then fire the missiles. You either know what that is or you don't. Yeah, Flash rules. I'm going to miss Flash, and I will suggest that to the allies, and maybe we'll do that. It's a fun suggestion. I appreciate that. No promises that we're going to do it. Jason Wallstrom, speaking of no promises, new show idea pitch, the Easy A back issue bin with the new top-down camera on the main stage for Magic the Gathering and board games, etc. I'd love to see the Easy Allies take a nostalgic trip back in time by looking through back issues of their favorite video game magazines. Jones, you, and Blood could look through Electronic Gaming Monthly and share stories about what you remember about those games and ads of the day, etc. I got my letter in EGM one time. We mentioned that on an Easy Ally stream once. I can picture Damiani and Kyle looking through an old issue of Nintendo Power and reliving their childhood glee while also telling us old childhood gaming anecdotes. Just lots of childhood things happening. Imagine Huber and Brad and Ben and Ian thumbing through old issues of PSM, GamePro, and Don probably knows of some obscure indie gaming magazines that none of us even know about. Also, for the final product, as you are talking about some of those games, you could splice in some game footage to help the viewer understand and for some awesome nostalgic feels. There are lots of happy moments in those magazine reviews and articles and even the ads, and it would be fun to see Easy A share those happy memories. This could potentially be a fun Easy Update episode because we have a lot of that stuff in the studio. We have a lot of magazines that were sent to us over the years. We have some of that stuff that's like in boxes, and people are just like, here's my entire collection of this, like one magazine. So that would be fun. It'd be fun to just go through. It was really fun this weekend, just like, flicking through Magic the Gathering cards. So it'd even be fun just going through a lot of the stuff that we've been sent, whether it is magazines or not. And also just be fun in general to take advantage of that camera, because that camera's dope up top there. Dope like Sony's GDC panels that they do, right, Blood? Dope. Yui. A few weeks ago, during one of his Banjo-Tooie streams, I asked Kyle if we could get bets in 2020. He said he wasn't sure that there was enough demand from the audience. See what I'm dealing with, folks? You see it? Do you feel it? Do you feel it a little bit? Does it resonate just a little bit? Do you get a flash of just a second? You're like, oh, whoa. If I closed my eyes, I could imagine being Jones just for a second there. To have somebody like Kyle Bossman being like, you've imagined this dope comment entirely. You didn't say dope. Yeah, I know you didn't say the word dope, but I added it. If there's demand. If people want bets. Yeah, is that a thing people want, Jones? Do people want, well, when we do bets, do people like that? When we say we're going to do something extremely silly and put stakes on it and then have something that people can track in our community and then also get involved at the same time. They can do their own bets. We can do our own bets. When people remind us of bets that we've previously done and they see the ramifications of some of these massive events that we ourselves have generated and created hype around, reverberating throughout, the future of Easy Allies through all of our social interactions, the fact that I get to name Michael Huber's Animal Crossing town. Do people care? Is that something that people ask for? Considering that I, Kyle Bossman, never watch an episode of Cup of Jones, this is something that comes up maybe occasionally that people bring up. And they're like, maybe we could do bets. Do you feel it? Does it resonate? Like a tuning fork? Does it ding, Kyle? Recently, someone from Atlas, I'm sorry, and that we will need to make sure to be more vocal about it, or something along those lines. Recently, someone from Atlas has said something similar about bringing Persona 5 to Switch. Which one do you think is more likely to happen? I will make sure to stay persistent on this. Yui is not a name I recognize very often from Cup of Jones, so I would love it if Yui's like, yo, what's up? I'm Yui. I'm going to be the bets guy. I'm coming in, and I'm only talking about bets on Cup of Jones. I'm all for it. And again, if you've missed me talking about bets a lot, I just don't do bets. It just wasn't my... It would be it'd be the same thing if we had a cooking show. If Michael Damiani one day was like, hey, it's cooking with Damiani, and we'd be like, oh, cool, the cooking show. And Damiani would just cook, Bloodworth loves to cook. And Bloodworth's like, Bloodworth's cooking show, cooking with blood, and it's just, he makes all these different blood dishes, and everyone's like, oh, that's so great. And then Blood one day is just like, I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm like, oh, okay. And everyone looks at me, they're like, why don't you do a cooking show? And it's like, I don't want to do that. I've never done that. I've never had any interest in doing that. I'm not just going to do something because it's good for the channel. There's a lot of things like timeline episodes that we could do, but I won't. And Huber, and there was a time when there's just a fire, just an absolute, just this WWE, competition going on between Kyle Bossman and Michael Huber. And then something happened. I don't know, as often does with the drama involved in a lot of those events. Cooking with Blood is not a good name. It is. It is. It's a good name because it's not a good name. And the answer is we will probably get to... There will be another betting special at Easy Allies before Persona 5 comes to Switch. That's my bet right now. If I lose this bet, I have to stream Persona 5 on Switch. There we go. On Switch and Twitch. Twitch Switch. If Persona 5 is announced for Nintendo Switch before the next Easy Allies betting special, I will stream Persona 5 on Switch for 2 hours. There we go. Next Gen Hef, I do not know if you are a fan of Transformers. Hell yeah. But a trailer was just released for a new Netflix anime series based on the War for Cybertron games. Yes, and it's, it's tough because I watch it and I'm like, why couldn't this have been the Bay movie? Why do we only get this badass Cybertron stuff in like flashbacks in the Bay films or like little tastes of it here and there? It looks so good. Man, Netflix, Castlevania, Transformers, He-Man, Masters of the Universe, that cast. Mark Hamill is Skeletor. Woo! Man. Excited. It would be cool if we did a Trailer Jones for it. Like, I am just cutting dreams, and then I'm cutting something else, and then cutting something else. The earliest I'd be able to do it is this weekend, and it's way too late. Totally had that thought, though. Legitimately had that Trailer Jones thought. It was like, it happened. I finally have the trailer, and it's just the wrong week for that to happen. Apologies, everybody. Apologies, Trailer Jones fans. But hopefully it's the kind of thing where that stuff stays relevant even after the fact. If you go look at that playlist of old Trailer Jones episodes, it doesn't make you sad. You just know that any day now, something will come up that not only will it be right for a Trailer Jones, but the person that I want to grab will be available, and I will be available as well. Has not happened in a couple of weeks. I was not a fan of Transformers back in the day. I was more of a G.I. Joe guy. I was not a Transformers guy. I had to have all of that given to me later. Transformers, Robotech, all that stuff. Next Gen Hef. I do not know. Oh, sorry. Morgan Mulhalla, if there's any off-camera coaching, is there any off-camera coaching or planning of your on-camera content to ensure that it will come off as more entertaining, or is it all organic? 100% organic, baby. Would you be opposed to this practice as it may be more theatrical, but perhaps seen as less genuine? Also, in the same vein of giving people what they want, what is it that you perceive that we, the audience, want from Easy A? Cooking with blood. You want us to be genuine. You want us to enjoy spending time with each other. You want to see that we are using the studio and spending as much time together as we absolutely possibly can, and that there is a continual back and forth nature of stuff that our community is doing and stuff that we are doing to react to the community. So as long as there's a balance of, having things like the community showcase and love and respect, and the questions on, Huber Syndrome now has the community queue where you can send 20 seconds of footage to Huber, community queue at easyallies.com. And bets also. If we have our fantasy draft for 2020 on fantasycritic.games, stuff like that. And then also doing reactions together, doing group streams together anytime that we all get together and have specific roles, even if it's something like Busted Trifecta or Box Peak, where you can tell we all got together to create something. People like to see the whole gang together. And I think the only off-camera coaching I would ever do is I'm not going to be like a theater mom where I'm backstage, doing the motions, smile. I'm not going to do that. But I think it would behoove us to do that. And there was a little bit of that in Magic the Gathering before we went live, to just kind of rehearse it so we would know, here's how the transitions work. I think as long as we make sure the pace of the stuff that we're producing is good, that you don't get any random stutters or technical issues that really slow things down, or a sense of confusion among us. One thing that we talked about was we didn't really have any post games planned for our Magic the Gathering stream, so we did end up finishing early. We were scheduled to go from 2 to 8, and we wrapped up early. So we were like, okay, I got to be honest, I was pooped. I was like, I have no problem wrapping up early so I can go home. But we could have had something planned after the fact, and we didn't really think about that. So having that stuff planned ahead of time keeps the organic nature, but it's still there is a menu of stuff that we are going to. I'm sure a lot of you can appreciate that. If you have a weekend where you're like, oh, I'm not doing anything, you kind of want to line stuff up. You want to know what you're going to do that weekend so that you don't waste any time, or you don't have any time where you're like, okay, well, I finished that game. What's next? You're like, I got my backlog lined up. I know what I'm going to do. I know I'm going to go get ice cream, and then I'm going to watch the new season of Clone Wars, and then I'm going to play Yakuza. Maybe that's just me. And there we go, Morgan Mulhalla with our final question. Takeaways. Cup of Jones FAQ. Classic. The number one question on the Cup of Jones FAQ will be, when do we get a Cup of Jones FAQ? Another Easy Allies reacts to Easy Allies stream, which is an excellent idea. Fancy 15 of the decade. Collaborate with the community to get new Twitch emotes. 3 comments on that. Out of nowhere, all of a sudden, Twitch emotes have boop, 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 moved up on my list. Group stream focused on just Flash games would be fun. Flashpoint. Let me put in caps here. Flashpoint is also an excellent DC animated film. on the Easy A back issue bin, where we look at old magazines or potentially old stuff in the studio. We're going to be getting rid of a lot of old stuff, a lot of stuff that was given to us by developers. We're going to try to keep as much stuff as we can from the community, because even if it's something that's like not practical at all, maybe potentially even ugly, I love looking at some of the stuff on the shelf, and I'm just like, oh, I remember getting those weird figures or those weird cards or that weird, book I'm probably never going to read, or that movie that I've already seen a bunch of times or already own. So thank you to everybody who has sent us that stuff, including old magazines, which we could potentially go through. All right, we're at an hour. I think we can spend a little bit of time before we wrap up talking about Animal Crossing. What's up with my graphics today, man? My graphics did that earlier. They were like going fine. I might need to get new versions of those graphics, or maybe my computer needed a restart. Cheers, everybody. We are now less than a month away from Animal Crossing New Horizons. It's going to be rough. We give that stuff away at EasyX. We do have plans to give away stuff at EasyX, so stay tuned for that. We got 4 weeks, folks. And it's going to be a bummer. It reminds me of just finishing Dreams now, because Dreams came out and it took a while for me to get that review done. And it's going to take a while for me to get that Animal Crossing review done, because that game we're not getting until it launches, because that's classic Nintendo style. And I'm going to need to spend a couple weeks in that. Obviously, man, I got work to do. I'm not going to have a lot of footage to show you if I get to put up that review like 5 days after that game comes out. There won't be many people in my town. So yeah, I'm definitely going to take my sweet time reviewing that game. And I'm going to take my sweet time playing Animal Crossing. But it's interesting, because I was like, oh, I should maybe talk about Animal Crossing, because I'm sure I would have more stuff to say about Animal Crossing. And there hasn't been a lot to say about Animal Crossing for 2 reasons. One, we didn't know a lot of the details. We know them now. A lot of the sweet, fun details that they're going to be adding. A lot of customization. You can make waterfalls. End of story. You can just go over that, just make a waterfall. If there's a cliff and you're just like, I want to be able to go to the back of the island. Back of the island hype, which I didn't really think about, because the back of all of the towns is either like a doorway to another town or a wall. And so it's nice to like, no, there's a little beach back there. You can set up something, maybe have one of your villagers live back there. I love Animal Crossing so much. First Animal Crossing game I played was the GameCube. Not the original, I believe. Wasn't there like another crazy Animal Crossing game that was just in Japan? But that GameCube game, my goodness. That GameCube game was great, because I played that game with Amanda a lot. That game came out right after we moved in together for the first time. Weren't married, didn't have a house, lived in an apartment, but we just were, that town of ours was a big deal that we would play a lot in. And some of my really close friends at the time all played Animal Crossing as well. And it was very impressive that we still managed to like have our cards there, and like remember to bring them with us whenever we would hang out. And a lot of that stuff we kind of take for granted now. And so it's going to be really neat having all of that Switch integration, having friends that kind of, put off getting the Switch and now finally do have a Switch. And so they will all be getting Animal Crossing. I will definitely cross the board. I do have one friend that doesn't have a Switch that I'm like, tick, tick, buddy. Because he's played Animal Crossing before. This is not like, you're going to love this franchise. He gets it. He knows it. I don't think he had a 3DS. He might have had a 3DS. When we played back in the day. Boy, does that feel like generations ago that game, I mean, it still is on 3DS. You can play it right now, but just that I played a lot of the Animal Crossing on 3DS. How long am I going to play Animal Crossing? Talking about a bet. I definitely want to get that bet going, where everyone makes predictions of the other allies and makes predictions of themselves of how long they think they're going to go daily. And then the day that they are about to go to bed and they're like, oh, I didn't play Animal Crossing today, and I don't plan to, jump in Slack and be like, today's the day. It's like April 24th. I'm just like, oh, okay, Brad, April 24th. Got it. Oh, that's right. And that's what Ben's, bet was. So yeah, bets can be fun. It's just not something I have a lot of experience in. The number one thing for me, I think, across the board within video games, maybe not necessarily the reason I like go after certain video games or the thing that I need all video games to do. But a lot of this factors into theme parks, why I love theme parks so much. Daily is a little stringent, LOL. Holy crap. Daily's a little stringent. 10 minutes? Come on, man. Well, that's not the point. It's not that like you didn't sign in that day, Bloodworth. It's that you're out. Because it's like sometimes you don't sign in the day and you're like, oh, I feel bad, and then like the next day you do a little bit more work. But sometimes you don't sign in and then you know it's come. You know that the day is here. You're like, oh, it's a sad feeling. It doesn't really have anything to do with Animal Crossing. It's just games in general, MMOs, Monster Hunter, like it's games where you're like, oh, I think I'm out. I think I'm out in terms of like really being committed, and then like yeah, I'll come back when they do some update, or like yeah, I'll come back, first day of summer or something. But it's just like I'm not. Probably not going to be playing this week, that day. Not, I'm not going to be like calling everybody at 11:59 every day and be like, did you play? Huber, pick up the phone, Huber, did you play? But the biggest thing for me in terms of like when I really get those jolly, happy video game vibes is immersion. I need to actually get a sense. That's when games kind of elevate themselves beyond themselves, is when I'm like, whoa, for a second there, I really believed that I was there, that this was happening, and you can do that with systems. Like I loved the gas system in Days Gone, where if you were going to drive somewhere, it spent gas. If you were going to fast travel, it spent gas. You needed to take the time to fill up. And so you're like, do I want to fill up back at home, or do I want to fill up on the way? Do I want to fast travel to a spot where I can fill up at that spot and then drive somewhere else? Or do I want to just drive there because maybe I can drive a little bit better than I could doing fast travel? And, you definitely feel that point in survival games like that. And Animal Crossing is more survival-y than in previous games. When you get to that point where you've developed yourself enough that the things that used to make you annoyed or afraid earlier in the game, you don't even think about anymore. And so I don't even get to play video games every day, says Blood. This is true. Hey, cheers to Blood, who doesn't get to play video games every day. Thank you, Blood. And Animal Crossing is incredibly immersive. And I know that might sound silly because the camera's locked and you're talking to like, camels and cows and stuff, and it's very cartoony, and your character is very, very cartoony, has gigantic eyeballs, depending on character model. And there are a lot of things you could look at and be like, there's no realism here whatsoever. And realism doesn't necessarily mean graphics. There's a lot of things that can contribute to realism. And one of the biggest things for me, and I'll never pass up an opportunity to bring up Red Dead Redemption 2, is this feeling that there's stuff going on. Like you tune into that town every day and nothing is really going to be earth-shattering. You're not going to tune in and, obviously that first KK concert you go to is a big deal. Obviously, you have somebody move into town, that's exciting. Or you finish a quest, it sucks because whenever you get enough money to make an upgrade to your house, it's always like, yes, I got enough money, yes. And then you realize, I got to wait like 2 days before I get it. I think it's like 24 hours that they use to build houses. So it's not the day that you finally got the money to buy the thing. It's the day that you finally got the thing. Or if you were wanting something to come to a shop and you like walk in the shop, like, yes, that t-shirt, yes. But going back to Red Dead, like just walking through the town and having somebody sitting by a fire and drinking coffee and like coughing because it's early in the morning and they're just like trying to wake up, or having somebody reference something that like, yeah, that just happened, or in the case of Animal Crossing, getting to know these different characters and having them play into their individual personalities. Like, yeah, they don't have like really exacting algorithms that will just totally modify that person so they never repeat themselves and they always say something that's relevant and they're totally tuned in, and you can write them a letter and they'll send you a really interesting response back. That might not happen, but you get the flavor of Animal Crossing in such tiny doses, depending on, if you play for 10 minutes or 3 hours, but also just in terms of all of these little interactions that you have with the world itself and with the different characters. And I just realized recently, like, yeah, it's immersion. That's the thing that really, I always thought it was just coziness. I'm like, I liked Animal Crossing because it's just fun vibes. It's fun to have friends get excited about something at the same time. Oh yeah, we're all going to be playing Animal Crossing. But I think at the end of the day, it's really about, me getting up and going out into this world every single time I play, and then having that adapt to the real world, having the music change every hour, realizing that oh, there's a reason I got to sign in because I might get those fossils back, or I got to sign in because they said that, like the turnips were going to be there today, or just like, oh yeah, let me run in and I'm sure nothing's going on. I'm like, oh, the carpet salesman's there, like, like having these little silly things that are unexpected, but there's just enough of. And I think that's like truly the magic of Animal Crossing. It's a very hard thing to sell to someone who's not a fan of Animal Crossing. It's difficult to try to explain that to somebody who doesn't have generally any interest in it. And Animal Crossing is certainly not one of those things. I don't think I could ever really bring myself to be like disappointed in someone because they don't play Animal Crossing. Or like if I was on an airplane or something and was playing Animal Crossing, somebody's like, what's that? I'd be like, Animal Crossing. And they're like, oh, I've never heard of that before. I wouldn't be like, you've never heard of Animal Crossing? Like, yeah, whatever, man. It's, go play what you want to play, man. Because you can tell, I think, right away, if you crack open Animal Crossing and it does not seem interesting to you, then I don't think it will ever get interesting to you. And I'm curious, actually, kind of what my initial... I don't remember who introduced me to Animal Crossing. I don't remember why I first started playing Animal Crossing. I don't know what drew me to it. But, oh, and I'm so excited. I was just going through stuff in my desk, and I found these, which I totally forgot. Somebody sent me. So I already got some friends that are coming by. I got my Amiibo cards. And I just I didn't think, it just didn't really secure itself in my brain that these are also Amiibo, just like the other Amiibo that I have. I should start putting them all up here. I should have my Amiibo, my Animal Cross friends, all waiting, what? Is it March? I'm like, no, it's not, still February. Calm down. But it's fun. Portia, Renee, Rasher, Patty, Bon, Truffles. Truffles looks like a handful. Potentially coming to the town. It's going to be cool to see somebody coming to my town that I also have the figure of, like Bob the cat, and I can just put Bob up on my PC and have Bob being like, it's me. I'm in there and I'm here. I'm everywhere. Which brings us actually, before I wrap this up, this editorial, Andrew McMillan actually asked me about Animal Crossing. Thank you, Andrew. Since we're about 1 month away from the release of Animal Crossing New Horizons, I was curious as to which specific elements you are most looking forward to in this latest release. The new crafting mechanics? Yup. Favorite villagers? I just kind of let the villager count just kind of happen. I don't necessarily, even when somebody wants to move, I'll be like, hey, you do you. Because that's happened to me in real life. I've had friends who are like, I'm moving. I'm like, no, oh, well. You do what you need to do to make you happy. Milo's in stripes today. Looking very slimming in stripes. Favorite special in-game events? Always. Just the general cozy vibes of the AC world? Oh, yes. I'm really excited about crafting. I'm really excited about all the little materials because I'm excited about the randomly generated islands you can also go to. There just seems to be actually a lot you can do whenever you just sign in. It's not just kind of like the loop around, find those, talk to people, finish maybe a couple of quests, see what's in the shop, sell some stuff if you've been meaning to, pick up some shells, pick up some other items, some fruit that you don't need, sell them. Maybe plant a few trees, check up on stuff that you're growing, dig some holes, find some fossils, drop those off at the museum, and then you're done. It seems like there's a lot more to do, chopping down trees, getting that wood, getting those materials, potentially trading stuff with friends. And actually, I think the number one thing that I really need from the game is I hope it's just so easy to communicate with, send stuff to, and interact with people on a grand scale. I hope we can all help each other. I saw some people, that were saying oh, it's gonna be really fun, Jones, because we can all play in each other, we can all visit each other's towns, we can all play Animal Crossing together, and I'm very, very much looking forward to that, because it's not something you got schedule. It's oh, let's all play Grand Theft Auto Online on Thursday night. It's no, it's all just let's just be friends, and we can go to each other's towns. We'll have a good time. But I'm so looking forward to it. It's so soon, and I really didn't think about it that much, and it's just really been on my brain ever since that direct. I gotta stop. You gotta kind of remove it from my brain. But I am super stoked about Animal Crossing. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Again, I will be reviewing it, but I will be taking my sweet time. And I think there's a lot of things that might seem repetitive or grindy or uninteresting, kind of busy work. And it's just all of that is what I enjoy doing in games. And because of those reasons, it still mystifies me to this day that I don't like Stardew Valley. I don't know what it is. It's a hard game for me to get into. You'd think, of all those games, you talk about immersion. Oh, immersion. You can build Jones, you know what game you should play? I've tried 3 separate times, and I just got bored. I don't know when.
Feels like work.
But yeah, I guess it's a fine line. Really, like what, good work, bad work, fun game work, or actual work. But I will definitely be putting the hours. I will definitely be working hard on Animal Crossing when it comes out in March, and will try my best not to talk about it too much on Cup of Jones. But there's your editorial about Animal Crossing, in case you just wanted a little more information about why I love it so. And I love that Michael Huber's village will be called You Lost. It makes me happy. I think about that every now and then, too, when I think about Animal Crossing. The fact that that's going to be the name of his town. And I told him that, and he chuckled. And there we are. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been your episode of Cup of Jones for February 24th, 2020. The next time we hang out, and the next time, even though it's a leap year, the next time that we do this, it'll be March. And then Animal Crossing will be coming later. We will be turning 4 years old later. Our 4th anniversary is coming up at the end of March. One of the things on the top of my to-do list is to find that park for our meetup on Monday, which will be at noon. And I will do not only announce where that is on Patreon, but we'll do a big post of just kind of all the events, what you can expect, how that Disneyland day is going to work, how EasyX is going to work schedule-wise, and where you can find us and when on Monday. So you can have all of the scheduling for all of the EasyX events all as soon as I get past a couple of edits that I'm doing this week. EasyX will really be my number one thing, not even Animal Crossing, because, like I said, I'm just going to be chilling playing Animal Crossing during EasyX in that weekend, capturing it as much of as I can, but that review's not going to happen for a week or 2 or 3 after the fact. Yeah, you flipped yourself over. You got the bird in your face because you flipped yourself over, and now you got the bird in your face. I know you're kicking your legs, but you need to kick them down. You're kicking them up in the air. When you're on your stomach, you need to kick the legs down, and then you can crawl. You have a lot of upper body strength, a lot of arm movement, but the kicking is just kind of like flailing right now. You know what I mean? It's kind of like in like the 80s, like the teens with the crimped hair, where they would like be on the maybe gals still do this, but they're like on the bed with the phone, and like the legs are kind of kicking behind them, and they're just like, I met a cute boy today at school. That's what he does. He just like lies on his back, and he's just you're not going anywhere. You're not getting any traction. Did you meet a cute boy at school, Milo? You don't have a cell phone. At least I don't think he has a cell phone.
Oh, no, he does.
He has a cell phone? Oh, no. That's the end of that. There we go. You know what I'm talking about? He's just kind of like flattening. He's just kind of flattening the legs out. He's got a ton of energy, though, that boy. And gosh darn it, I love him. More than I love Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing's up there. Not as much as Milo. And you're going on a walk?
Yeah.
Bye. Okay, bye. My wife's going on a walk. I'm going to go check with our handyman that is currently fixing stuff around our house to see if he needs anything. And then you will show us the baby. No, it's gone. Baby's gone. No baby for you today. Is there a baby? Am I throwing my voice to simulate the fact that there's a baby today? I don't know. We went camping this weekend with him. Man, it was so much fun. Took some fun pictures. I was thinking about showing those things, but then I was like, no, let's talk about Animal Crossing. And there we did it. Cheers, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow for the Q&A, and then to play some Super Smash Brothers for our group stream. And then I will see you on Thursday for Silver Squad, where you can watch my Silver Squad movie, which I very much hope you enjoy. And I hope you have a lovely week. This ending is probably going to be very clicky or framey for some reason. I don't know why, but it's okay. You'll be okay. I'll be okay, no matter how good or bad the frame rate is on this ending. And I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week. Cheers. Okay, come on. You can do it. Okay. And wrap up the... Oh. Okay. All right. We need to re-render these graphics. It's too much. Poor XSplit just chugging. Feels bad.